One, and you're live, Chairman. Thank you.
Good evening, members, officers and people officers remotely. Welcome to this Performance, Governance and Audit Committee meeting held on the 5th of June at Maldon District Council offices. My name is Councillor Wendy Stamp and I'm the Chairperson of this committee. Members, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you to at the appropriate time. Could I ask members to avoid approaching the top table, as this could create interference with the cameras and live stream. Please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of the microphones. Therefore, can I ask that when invited to speak, you remember to turn on your microphone and turn it off when finished. Please reference a page and paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers and keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible. We do not have any fire alarm testing scheduled for today. However, we may have periodic fire alarms, and I remind members to ensure they sign in and out when entering the council offices. If you hear the fire alarm, please exit using either the two marked fire escape routes. Once out of the building, please proceed to the designated muster point located on the grass verge by the police fire station entrance. I'd just like to welcome the directors in person and also the officers again, like I've said, attending remotely. I'd also like to ask Ben J to introduce himself. Some of you may have noticed there's a strange face on the top table today, and I think it'd be quite nice if you could introduce yourself and just tell members your position. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name's Ben J. I've recently started as the permanent CFO, Chief Finance Officer, sometimes called the Section 151, and it's a great pleasure to be here at my first PGMA meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, and we welcome him, don't we, members? He's had to hit the ground running because there's so much going on. But, anyway, moving on, agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Tara, can I have the apologies for absence, please?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Apologies been received from Councillor Bown and Councillor Pratt. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely, noted. Agenda item 3, members. It is recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of February 2025, found on pages 5 to 72, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Nick Spenceley. Thank you. Members, can I ask that we agreed, those who are present agreed as in assent? Agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 4, members and officers, matters arising, found on pages 73 to 74. These are either to note or if anybody's got any points or any questions they wish to raise. No? Well, can I propose that we note them, members? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Spenceley. Members, do we agree?
We agree.
Thank you. Moving on. Agenda item 5, declarations of interest. To disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. Members are reminded that they are also required to disclose any such interest as soon as they become aware, should the need arise throughout the meeting. Councillor Burwood.
And it's neither pecuniary nor non-pecuniary, but it just is a matter of transparency with regards to agenda item 14 and the community governance review with regards to Heybridge Parish Council. It's a parish council which I'm both a parish councillor representative for and as my district hat, and it directly affects my ward. So I just wanted to put transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burwood. Tara, did you note that?
Yes, Chairman, I've got that noted. Thank you very much.
And Councillor Nick Spenceley would like to speak as well.
Yeah, same interest, Tara. Heybridge Parish Council.
I've got that noted. Yeah.
Lovely. Nobody else? Right. Agenda item 6, public participation. I can advise that we've not received any submissions from the members of the public. Right, let's move on to the business, the important business for this committee meeting. Agenda item 7, reappointment of the independent person to the Performance, Governance and Audit Committee. Following the Council decision on the 11th of July 2024, minute number 165, the committee is required to complete an annual review of the independent person. Mr. Derek Smith, thank you for attending again. I would like to propose that Mr. Derek Smith is the independent person for the forthcoming municipal year. Again, do I have a seconder? Councillor Maddie Thompson. Can we agree by assent, members?
Agreed.
Oh, yes. Welcome. Now, we move to, we've got two lovely gentlemen sitting at the end who's very smart in suits. We did notice when they came in, Aaron and Andrew. So we move to agenda item 8, the internal audit report. Members, that can be found on page 75 to 76. The officer who's going to read the paper out is going to be Benjay. Is that all right? I didn't ask you, but are you okay just to just actually explain the report? And then what we generally do, members, what we'll do is we'll move on to each recommendation. So each one, we'll debate it. Obviously, the internal auditors will give an explanation, then we'll ask questions. And I'm quite happy if the committee want to take them all on block at the end, or do you want to do the proposal for each A, B or C? Led by you. En masse at the end. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, Benjay, if you would just like to launch and just say it, and then we'll move on to the auditors.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So just to introduce the paper, you have a summary report and then a series of attachments. Colleagues from BDO are here, and I'll ask them to, I'll hand over to them shortly. But you can see the purpose of the report is set out in paragraph 1.1. There's a series of bullets there, including the headlines, the subject matter which is covered in the attachments. The recommendations are set out in section 2 in the normal way. So the approvals are around the progress report, the follow-up of recommendations report, the building control final report, IT disaster recovery and business continuity, and then the general data protection regulations. I normally say GDPR, so I've stumbled over that one. Apologies. The key issues are set out there in section 3. You will be familiar with the arrangement through which the internal audit service is provided through BDO. So BDO are our internal auditors, obviously not to be confused with our external auditors. And the internal audit is a really important function from my perspective. It provides assurance on a lot of the key aspects of the council. There's more than enough jargon associated with finance and even more associated with audit, as I'm sure you're familiar. If there are any points that you're not entirely clear on, as far as I'm concerned, there are no silly questions. It's important that everybody understands what's going on, and I'm happy to work with BDO colleagues to make sure it is transparent. Very simply, from my perspective, this is how we secure assurance on value for money for local people. So it's an incredibly important area, and it's important that we try to make the best use we can of that BDO input. So the points that are being raised and the implications around that are also set out in the paper. If I may, Chair, I'll hand across to BDO colleagues to take the committee through those detailed reports.
Yes, please. Is it you, Andrew?
Or we're going to confuse you.
Oh, now you've changed the goalposts. Okay, go on
I
then.
have to say something to
Go
be
on then.
sharing. I'm going first.
Okay. I thought I was so efficient writing everything down, but not to worry.
Sorry about that, Chair.
That's all right.
So the first report, which is agenda item 8A, pages 77 to 87, is our progress report. So this summarises the progress to date of closing down the 24-25 internal audit plan and also the commencement of the 25-26 internal audit plan. As Ben has already mentioned, we have reports that we're presenting, so 3 further reports since the last committee that we were here, relating to building control, ITDR and GDPR. Thankfully you said the full title, so I can use the summary now. That just leaves 2 final reviews that we're completing for 24-25, and they are progressing well to draft reports. So actually, since we've written this paper, the asset management review is now complete. The draft report is currently going through our QA. It's in my inbox to review, so that will be out with management shortly. And the same for the main financial systems review as well. So a closing meeting is booked for next week. So what that does mean is we're well positioned to complete all of our work for 24-25 and bring our annual report and head of internal audit opinion to the next committee meeting in line with our normal reporting requirements. For 25-26, so internal audit doesn't sleep. We move on to the next year quite quickly. So following the approval of the plan, we've already scoped up our 3 reviews for quarter 1, and 2 of those are now in field work. The third one related to the local government review. That it has been scoped, but we are currently discussing with management as to when we deliver that piece of work, given where plans are in relation to that and how we can be best used to help the organisation during that process. So that is one to watch. But we've planned the work throughout the year to ensure that this committee receives regular reports at each of the meetings we're present. The remainder of the report covers our general updates in relation to sectors and our key performance indicator performance as well. So that was all I was going to say on that report. As we are going through each review, each report, I'll move on to Andrew to do the next one if you like.
Do you mind if we actually ask, see if members want to ask questions and then go on it, because otherwise people can forget?
Yeah.
Members, I'd open it out to you. Do you have any questions on 8A? No, that's fine. Would you like to move on? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm going to talk you through the follow-up report. So that's on page 89. So the oldest outstanding recommendation for management of property is now complete. Two further recommendations on management of Section 106 and health and safety have also been implemented. And you'll see on the report there's one medium priority rated recommendation for licensing, which is classed as overdue. However, since we wrote the report, we have spoken with officers who advise that they've progressed that recommendation, which should enable us to close it upon the receipt of evidence of implementation. So hopefully that one is now complete and we should be able to close that one off. So it's a pretty positive position. So there's no other outstanding recommendations at this stage, but I have to take any questions on that report.
Members, any questions? I'd like to thank you for sorting the licensing out, because I know it was raised, so thank you. And Paul Dodson filled me in earlier on it as well, so I appreciate the information. Thank you. No questions, members? Okay, do you want to move on to 8C?
Yep, so that's me again. So this report is the internal audit of building control, which is on page 99. So the purpose of the audit was to review the effectiveness of the council's building control service, including how they've implemented the recent national changes to the sector. So this has received a limited opinion for the design of controls and a moderate opinion for the effectiveness of controls. We've raised 2 high priority rated recommendations, 2 medium and 1 low priority rated recommendation. So the recommendations are around reviewing performance management arrangements to comply with the building safety regulator requirements, enhancing controls to ensure increases in fees are correctly communicated to the building control team and implemented, updating the building control policy to ensure it meets the requirements of the regulator, ensuring building control fees are set at the correct level, and then finalising the career matrix document. Happy to take any questions on that report.
Members? Nobody's got anything to query on that? No? Oh, Mr. Winslow, you didn't have such an easy time at the agenda meeting, though, did you? Anyway, I'm satisfied because Mr. Winslow did actually allay any fears I had, because when I read it, I did have some concerns, and I'd like to thank you for addressing those concerns. And I'd also like to thank the auditors for making the report so easy to understand. I think it actually epitomises now that we haven't got any questions so far, because we all understand and the information is factual and it is full, actually. So I'd just like to thank you on that. And thank you, Matt. Please don't stay around, because I know the circumstances. So thank you very much. Who's on the next one, gentlemen?
I think the last 2 reports I'll be covering, so
okay.
keep it
that's
simple.
Fine. Yes.
So we're sharing the workload today.
Thank you.
The next report is agenda item 8D, which is pages 121 to 131. And this relates to IT disaster recovery and business continuity. So the purpose of this review was to provide assurance that the council has adequate arrangements in place to recover its IT services, hardware and infrastructure in the event of a disaster. So it's important to recognise that this review was very specific to the IT disaster recovery, rather than the wider emergency response or business continuity that obviously requires much more effort and plans in place. So it was quite a narrow scope in that regard. And furthermore, whilst this does provide assurance, we can't give absolute assurance that the council will recover as expected from an incident disaster. That is really important just to make that clear. However, I think what's really positive is the green outcome. So the 2 substantial opinions over the design and operational effectiveness of the controls in place to mitigate the risks aligned to our scope that we've covered here. And there was a lot of areas of strength in relation to this area. So identification of critical systems, suppliers and dependencies, a clear strategy, policies and risk management are in place, and we saw evidence of that. And then I think what's really important is the regular testing of the incident response plans and the ability to recover. So whilst I've just made that statement, the ability that the council can give us evidence that they're doing that testing is really, really important. And obviously it's quite prevalent in the press at the moment about what's happening across different sectors and the ability to recover services. We identified one low risk recommendation, and this related to more documenting the assessment of the recovery, the RPOs and RTOs. However, this risk was mitigated by other measures that were in place, primarily the testing that I've referred to, which is then therefore reducing the risk in relation to that. So finally, I would just conclude on this report that it is a positive outcome. It demonstrates some real strong foundations in terms of the control environment in this area. And actually, we do a lot of this work across the sector, and we don't often see this outcome as well. So I thought I'd better put that on record. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Spenceley.
Yeah, I'd just like to, without wanting to jinx things, offer my congratulations to the IT team. I mean, a councillor very well known to me is still struggling to purchase clothes from Marks and Spencer's because of their infamous IT disaster. So it's encouraging to see that, touch wood, we've got a high level of security.
Any other members? I'd also like to thank you because we do know we did have a few issues a few years ago. And I think you've responded exceptionally well. And I think the IT team and everybody who works with them and their managers need actually a vote of thanks, because we all know how easy it is to have somebody hack in or somebody inadvertently click on something which allows somebody then to get into some systems, and also not have the quality and the controls that we need to have within to make us secure in our organisation. Anybody else? Councillor Bassinger, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wondered, do we have any evidence of, have there been any attempts to hack recently? I mean, is there any record of attempts to actually breach our system?
I don't think we've got... yeah, sorry, do you?
Thank you, Chair. The scary answer to that is yes. The reassuring points are what we've seen in the audit is the IT team are constantly checking and protecting our systems on a daily basis, and the feedback through the system all the way up to me, a report every month of the vulnerabilities and the attacks that are on our systems and wider than that, and what we're actually doing to resist that and the measures that we're putting in place. It's fascinating what they do, absolutely fascinating, and yes, great credit to the work that they put in on a daily basis. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. It's a very good question.
Yeah, and thank you. It's very reassuring. Thank you very much.
And while before we move on to the next agenda item, Cheryl Hughes very kindly gave me an update on. I'll come to you 1 second. Is that a second? About the training courses that we run, the boxfish and the other ones. And I must apologise, I've forgotten about the other ones. So I haven't done my up-to-date training, so I apologise to the committee. And I looked on it today, and it was going to be like half an hour per course. Now, I can't afford that time at the minute. But what I'd like to do is remind everybody, and if anybody needs any extra help to attend, to actually log on and do these boxfish and these little 15, 20-minute, 10-minute video things, please ask. Because I'm sure the IT or even the officers or even other members will help, because it is really important, because it's moving all the time. It's gone on from the iTunes requests. You send us an iTunes thing to whatever it is now. So we have to be really cautious. So moving on, Councillor Burwood, please.
Thank you. Just something in relation to what Councillor Bassinger was saying. At work at the moment, I'm doing a cyber security thing because we draw down government funding. And one of the things we failed on is the fact that we don't have a password policy. Do we have a password policy? Because I've not been asked to change my password since I've been here 2 and a bit years.
Through, I don't know if anybody can answer that actually, I don't think we're here, but this has been raised because I think I've raised this, I don't know if it's a COT meeting, because at county we have to change it after so many weeks, and this has been raised before, so thank you for raising that again. We will actually look into that, because like I say, we have thought about this before, and I thought we were looking at it. Benjo. Thank
you, Chair. Just to give my experience of it in the 2.5, 3 weeks since I started. We're currently working on a 16 character alphanumeric plus special something or other, which is quite a lengthy password, as you can imagine. And the way it's been set up and what I've encountered is not so much that then needs to be changed and updated. The reason for that is often an efficiency reason, because people forget them and then clog up the IT help desk with the requests for resetting passwords and help with that kind of thing. What you can do is to do it on a 3D secure basis with a mobile phone. So you have a mobile phone with a number that's registered to the same email address. You send a code to the mobile phone, a bit as you do with your personal banking arrangements, thereby meaning that you don't need to change the password quite so frequently, but you have a very strong password authentication process in the background, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we do. We forgot about the lovely Annette Cardy. She's obviously at home. Sorry, I didn't see you with your hand up, so my apologies. Annette, would you like to come in and reassure us? You're muted. There you go.
Beg your pardon?
It's all right. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, very similar to what Ben has just been saying. That is, we're looking to a very similar process to bring that in. At the moment, we have two-factor encryption. So although we have the long passwords, they only need updating once a year because we have that two-factor encryption, which is the strongest protection you can have. But we are looking at making a much simpler system, as Ben said, either a code or a kind of touch finger screen mechanism. So that's in progress, though. We seek to progress that as quickly as possible. So I understand the implications of trying to remember the password.
Thank you. Right, the last one, please, gentlemen. 80.
Just to make a comment in relation to the councillor's question about how many hits, I was at another clients committee meeting on Monday and they had a cybersecurity update and they were hit 900 times in that month, but only 30 of them required formal, like really deep investigation. But it just shows you how prevalent it is at the moment and how often people are trying to access the
It is
information.
scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is scary. That's why we all have to be vigilant. Well done. Thank you.
Okay. So our last report of the evening is agenda item 8E on pages 133 to 152, and this relates to GDPR. So the purpose of our audit was to assess council's compliance with key components of GDPR. So obviously not, again, offer absolute assurance of compliance against full compliance, but it focused on key areas around training and awareness, roles and responsibilities, data breach management, data protection impact assessments, policies and procedures, and governance of information assets. So quite a bit there. As a result of our work, we have offered a moderate assurance opinion over both the design and operational effectiveness of the controls in place. We raised 3 medium recommendations and 1 low priority recommendation to help improve the arrangements that are in place. I think what it's important, and I think the report does reflect on this, is that the council has been on a journey in this space as well, in terms of a continuous improvement journey, and this review was part of that. And we were asked to do this piece of work to kind of identify if there were any areas that we could offer our insight. And this piece of work, like all our GDPR pieces of work, goes through BDO's head of data privacy to ensure that we offer that insight and also consistency in our recommendations as well. So the key finding that is prevalent throughout a couple of these issues that we raised is around the council's ROPA, so the record of process and activity, and ensuring that this is designed effectively and up to date. But what I would say is the work that we did with the council, they were aware of some of these updates and they are in progress. So the reason why moderate assurance has been provided is because they have actions in place to address this. And if that happens, we're happy with that. If the council didn't have those actions in place and weren't aware of that, and this audit was flagging that, this would have been more like a limited opinion, assurance opinion, which again, our report makes quite clear. I think the remaining findings are quite clear in terms of third-party data, sharing items, training compliance, which obviously we've just touched on in relation to other areas, and then a low finding in relation to subject access requests. So that was all I was going to say on that report, but always happy to take any questions.
Members, are there any questions? Who is the officer in charge of this, or do we can we have a little explanation so members know? Because I don't think it's one data protection officer anymore, is it? It's Emma. Oh, Emma's not online, is she? Oh, Emma. Sorry, Emma. I've got the wrong glasses on. I can't see that screen from those. I do apologise.
Okay, good evening, Chair.
Good evening. Would you
Yeah,
like to explain to members just a little bit, not a long process
Yeah,
of what
so
happens? Thank you.
At the council, I'm in, along with my role as monitoring officer, I'm also the designated data protection officer at the moment. So it's an additional job as part of my other work. So and we don't have any team specific to deal with data protection, subject access requests. It's dealt with across the council by the various departments. And in relation to the audit report, prior to the audit, we were aware the ROPA wasn't up to date. I can report that the draft is completed from my point of view. I've had some, and I'm currently meeting with all assistant directors to ensure they're happy that all the data for their departments is listed. So far, there haven't been any issues, but once all those meetings are concluded, I will be providing that to the auditors to show that all departments have checked the data and that it's correct. They've certainly seen the draft as it is so far and fed back, and we're happy with what we've been doing so far. So that work is continuing, but should be done within a matter of weeks. So that document, which was the main issue, will be up to date, complete, and usable by any officers, and will then be reviewed regularly on an annual basis going forward.
Okay, thank you. Tara, could I ask something going on the matters arising? Could we, taking on board what he said on the report, do you think we could send an email around to members to actually remind them and ask them to do their GDPR training? Because it's so easy sometimes to forward something on with an officer's email address, and that's something we shouldn't do. We have a process. So if we could actually think about doing that, I'd certainly appreciate it. And I think members would appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Of course, Chairman.
Any questions? Any questions? No? Okay, right, I'm going to... any questions? No? Nothing more to say? Okay, members, we're going to move on to the recommendations then. The committee considers, comments and approves the following. Well, we've all commented, and thank you very much for your participation. Little 1, Progress Report 2024 to 25 and 25-26, in brackets June 2025 at 8A. Little 2, follow up the recommendations report June 25 at 8B. Little 3, Building Control final report May 2025 at 8C. Little 4, IT disaster recovery and business continuity May 2025 at 8D. And general data protection regulations May 2025 at 8E. I propose that we accept the recommendations. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Maddie Thompson. Members, can we agree by assent?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you. And I will pause for a moment if you two gentlemen you would like to leave before we move on to the next agenda. And I thank you for coming. Thank you very much. And thank you for your reports as normal. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Moving on to agenda item 9, members. This is the appointment of representatives on outside bodies and working groups. Is this Cheryl? Cheryl, are you doing this one?
I can present it. It should be fairly straightforward. This is following the reset of statutory annual. These are just the outside bodies and working groups that we've got to appoint to. So you'll see in 3.1.1, that's the outside bodies, and then 3.1.2, there's a working group of the committee.
Okay, members, we've all read it. Oh, Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you. Sorry, Chairman, I don't believe I was on the PG&A working group last year because I was also on ONS. And if I was on it, I certainly didn't attend it, in which case apologies, but I don't believe I was on it.
We never met.
Yeah, it didn't sit last year.
Yeah.
Okay,
so is that the same case? You can't go on it this year because I've got you nominated.
I'm not on ONS this year, so I could do.
All right. So, members, let's get down to the business. 3.11 is about the Chair's Audit Committee. We can see that that's got to be me, or my substitute would be my lovely deputy next to me. And then the Town and Parish Engagement Forum, the same. And then the process improvement champions was Councillor Stilts and Councillor Thompson. We need 2 members of this committee, but I'd like to ask, what do they actually do?
So they're kind of used as a bit of a sounding board. So when we're improving processes or to test areas of the website that we're looking to launch, and to feedback on issues that customers are having with the processes as well. So they help with the process improvement team's work.
Do I have any volunteers? 2 members, please. Councillor Thompson and Councillor Spenceley. Did you get that, Tara?
Yes, Chairman, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Spenceley.
Lovely. Moving on to 3.12, working groups, performance, governance and audit working group. The previous ones was Councillors Bassinger, Spenceley, Stamp, Stilts and Thompson. We need 5 more members to be appointed. From the chair, I would like to nominate Stamp, Spenceley, Councillor Siddle, Norman, and I haven't spoke to the others, so I can't nominate anybody else. Would anybody else like to volunteer? Councillor Bassinger, I did have your name. Well, no, I wanted your name. Anybody else? Councillor Thompson. Okay. Members, are we happy with that? Let's move on to agenda item 10. This is the review of the Corporate Risk Register Q4. And Miss Hughes, are you presenting this one?
Yes.
Haha, got it right, thank you.
So this one's found at pages 155 to 168 of your agenda pack, and it covers the Corporate Risk Register update for Q4, which is January to March 2025. 3.2 of the covering report highlights a new risk that's been raised, which is failure to provide adequate building safety and access systems. 3.3 also highlights failure to have a structured way to engage and support local businesses is recommended for closure. Between Q3 and Q4, none of the existing corporate risk scores have changed direction. So the report's presented for members' review and challenge and assurance that risk is being managed effectively.
Members, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Chair. If I could focus a little on Appendix 1, where we set out the risk register. I read this and I had 2 items that gave, for me, considerable disquiet. One was the item concerning your staff or team members, which I think is point 8, which says that you've got difficulty on recruiting and retaining staff with particular skills. And having read the staff survey, I think it's a much broader issue than that. I mean, I can say a lot more on the staff survey, and I'm happy to do so, but I think probably that the result of that is probably the worst staff survey result I've ever seen. And I've been involved probably in 20 of these in the last 5 years. So I think, and I'm happy to go through why I was so appalled by it. The other one is where we rank LGR, where it ends up with a score of 12, which is half of the biggest risk. I think that is your largest risk, because I'm not convinced that there is sufficient management skill to deal with a transformational change, which is the biggest change anybody in this group has come across. And if you look at change, you can categorize it where you do project, procedural, process, structure, and then you come to goals, and then ultimately to culture, which is transformational. That is the toughest one by a mile. And I've read the implementation report, and on all of the projects with change, you have 3 stages: where we want to be, where we are now, and how we're going to get there. Now, I think the implementation report that you have at the moment is splendidly aspirational. I love it. But it doesn't say where you're starting from. It says you're going from 15 to 5, but I don't know what SWOT analysis has been done on any of them other than us. I mean, I know, for example, that we were ranked somewhere as 4th. I don't know where the other 11 are. If I go online and look for the worst managed councils, Essex has an appalling record. We have reserves of 13 million. I understand Thurrock has a deficit of $1 billion. I mean, whether they run special courses in how to lose money, I don't know. But I just think
it gives me great concern as to whether we're going to end up with a group we don't like. To use, a terminology you may not like, but basically if you make two crows, you don't end up with an eagle. You end up with a crow. And I don't know if the other 11 or whatever are crows. I just don't know. I don't know, and I don't know what SWOT analysis we've done. I don't know what the age profile is. I don't know whether they're overstaffed, under-resourced. I don't know whether they made deficits or surpluses. I just don't know. I know where we want to be, and that's great. But we've got to start where we are. And if you go down to my simplest form of change as a project, you say, if we want to repaint this room, that's a simple project. But you start by where we are at the moment, and you say, well, there's a lot of things that we don't like and that we're going to have to do to get from where we are to where we want to be. Mm-hmm. So that was just on that part. I think it should be your number one. In terms of the staff survey, you have an aspiration of 75%. Well, I'm sorry, but I never aspire to mediocrity. And I think what you're saying on that is, I don't mind if 25% of my people aren't satisfied. I used to run these in my previous firm, and number one, we called them team surveys. We never used the word staff. I think it's dismissive. I don't like being called a customer. I'm not a customer, I'm a client. You're not a sweet shop, you're a service provider. But if I look at it, what we're saying there is only 58% responded, and my immediate question is why? Is it because they don't trust us? Is it because they don't believe we're going to contain any sort of anonymity? Is it because it will threaten their job? We used to get north of 98% completion. We scored on a rank of 1 to 10. If any office went below 9 on anything, we were in there saying, what have we done wrong? We had 23 offices, 1,200 staff, recruited 200 graduates a year, turnover of 80 million. If I'd have said, we've had a team survey and it's great, 58% responded, whoopee-doo. It's 60% if you want to round it up. And of those, 37% gave us a bad mark. They don't trust us. They think we're under-resourced or we're working too hard. Now, I thought all councils had said they weren't going to do slavery, but you clearly are here, because basically what those figures are saying to me is 25% of your team are not satisfied with the way they're being treated. That is a huge management issue, and it has to be addressed. I don't know what training you give in terms of performance review. I don't know what training you give in management and leadership. I may be speaking completely out of line, but if I'd got those results as chief exec of a major organisation, I would have gone ballistic. Well, I wouldn't have had a job. I would be out on my ear, because they'd have said, Derek, you're not managing your team.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. No. I didn't take it as a lecture at all. Yeah. Don't conceal yourself with that. There was multifaceted points in there. Yep. I can either answer some of them myself if the officers trust me to, or would you like me to hand it over to the officers? I don't mind. Would anybody like to say anything? Would you? Can I just say before you come in, Benja, that we were actually talking about some of these concerns prior to this meeting. And what I will say is that everything you have raised, not necessarily in that language, has been raised previously. And we had a really good session tonight, didn't we? The three of us, 4 of us actually, talking about the problems or the possible issues with LGR. And what is actually happening. I can assure you as well, the staff survey, I've seen it worse. I know that maybe isn't good for you, but we've all had challenges, especially at this council. You maybe wasn't around when there was a notorious councillor who used a megaphone all the time. And when you actually try to work under those conditions, I know a lot of people thought it was funny, but a lot of staff here, and the publicity that came from that, why would you want to come and work here? And the officers that have stayed with us need commending, because they've had to take on I said I wasn't going to speak. I do this all the time. I do apologise. And they've worked so hard to try and turn it around. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We've had many challenges, and all authorities have had many challenges. But I will stop there, and I may come back at the end. So Benjay's going to go first, and then if Paul and Doug wish to speak, and Councillor Spenceley. Thank you.
Just a couple of points in response to the questions that are raised there. Good questions, well placed. Just very simply to begin with, we have been, certainly in Maldon, and I know this is happening across all of the councils, all of the 15 involved, we've been closing down the accounts on 24-25. That's important because it gives us a really good baseline to start working from. We've got other data, but that data is a little bit out of date in some respects. So that work has been ongoing. We are currently engaged in a hell of a lot of work. There's a lot of meetings populating my diary, as you can imagine, talking across the 15 councils, plus the police force and the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner, because all of these different things come together either under reorganisation or under devolution. There is a lot of external support being provided, specialist support, particularly around project management and project delivery, because we know that while we understand as 151 officers the detail and complexity of local government finance, we don't necessarily understand how to bring together new organisations in a new way. So there's a lot of that work that's happening, certainly from the finance side. We know we're dealing with a baseline population of 1.8 million, and none of that population will thank us, whether it's the finance team or other local government officers, if there is a reduction in the quality of services that people see. You can argue whether or not we're offering good services across the board at the moment. We certainly don't want to see that deteriorate. That's the risk. The opportunity is to make services better. So how do we best secure that? And while accountants do have a reputation for being hard-hearted, all of the 151 officers have been really clear that actually they don't come to work to support organisations to deliver poor services. They want to see those services maintained at the current quality or improved. In terms of the debt, you mentioned Thurrock, good point. Specialist support, SIPFA, is being brought in to help analyse and understand that, and there is an ongoing conversation with MHCLG, so the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, and Treasury, to look at exactly how we deal with some of that and to come up with a viable solution that doesn't penalise any of the residents that could be part of a new organisation which Thurrock would go into if that follows. So there's a lot of work around that. A separate area that we're also concerned around is the dedicated schools grant, which is another area. The districts don't have sight on that at the moment, but data has been shared, and actually it doesn't really matter, that problem. And if you can't solve the DSG problem, then you're not going to be able to set up viable organisations. All of this is in hand. All of this will be brought back to councillors in due course. The timeline that we're looking at is probably about 2 to 3 months worth of work. So that follows on for the extraordinary council meeting in February this year in this council. My expectation at the moment is that something will be shaping up to come back to council in financial terms, at least, depending on exactly what it is and how that plays through in the early part of the autumn. I can't be any more precise than that at the moment, but hopefully that gives some reassurance that we don't think we can do this on our own. We are bringing in a lot of support to help that be dealt with appropriately, particularly on some of those very, very difficult issues that you highlight. So I'm happy to pick up any further conversations outside of the meeting as appropriate, but I'll leave non-financial issues to others colleagues who are more closely involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr Dodson, would you like to speak on recruitment and retention, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I think you made some very clear points around not just the challenges this council faces, but in terms of some of the we're not really on the staff survey part yet, but to put it into context for the recruitment and retention, I think you're right, the staff survey results are disappointing. They're not unique within the public sector, though, after 10 years of cuts, disinvestment, and it's not unique to Maldon District Council, the challenges and the issues that are faced within that. But in relation to risk 9, which you mentioned, the difficulty in recruiting and retaining staff, because those issues are widespread in terms of across the board in the public sector, this risk doesn't relate to the issues specific to Maldon District Council. It's specific to the market for various areas in which the council operates. And there are particular challenges around environmental health, officer recruitment, recruitment of town planners, and most recently and most acutely, the recruitment and retention of building control surveyors. There's been major changes to the regulations around building control since Grenfell, and quite rightly, the requirements and the qualifications have been increased, but it's led to quite a few surveyors leaving the industry. And it's also led to a large number leaving local authorities. I won't name other councils, but I know that there are other councils who have no building control surveyors at this point, and they're operating purely on agency staff. And the salaries we've offered have been dwarfed by the agency charges, which can be upwards of £500 a day for a building control surveyor, which is over £100,000 a year. So, it's just putting into context, those are the pressures that we're facing, and that risk relates to not whether people want to work specifically for Maldon District Council, and that's what we're addressing and mitigating within that risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nick Spenceley.
Thank you, Chair. Before I start, I'll just point out a comment that Cheryl made, which is that, of course, it's a Q4 update, so the risk register is as of March, as is the LGR information. Of course, the LGR is a rapidly moving thing, but we won't go into that now. So I just wanted to give the members' perspective. I spent 45 years working in the public sector in Essex and Hertfordshire in education, and then later on in the NHS. And recruitment has always been a problem. I mean, I'm aware of it as a member in the area of planning and enforcement in particular, but I have a lot of sympathy for it. So these are people with specialist skills. For Essex and Hertfordshire, there's a big problem, and it's called London. I found in education and the NHS, the draw of London was a significant factor. And in some towns, they have they used to have a fringe allowance, but Maldon certainly won't have that. But it is a big draw for staff. In Essex, in Southend, when I worked for the NHS there, we tried to recruit clinically qualified staff and commissioned a body to promote Essex. And the best they could come up with was Essex Rocks as a slogan, which didn't exactly cut it. But, it is a real problem, and I have a lot of sympathy for that. I'm not going to say any more than that, but I think the staff recruitment and retention issue hopefully will be mitigated by LGR, because if we have more critical mass in terms of the size of the bodies that are recruiting staff, then remuneration and, the kind of range of colleagues that you have would make it a more attractive proposition, because small units is another issue. If you've got a team of 3 or 4, it brings more pressures, less opportunity to diversify your work activities and gain promotion paths. So the one may be the solution to the other long term.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Neil, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions, really, just on the risk register. And it might be my naivety, because obviously this is my first attendance at this one. So there hopefully will be quite easy questions. Risk item 17, sorry. One, there's no control strength listed there. That might be just because it's a new control and that hasn't been identified yet. Something that it might also be how this is being presented, but there isn't actually a list of what controls are in place, which is what I'd normally expect to see on a risk register. I don't know if that's just because this is the way it's been cut for the presentation, so it can be seen. But obviously, I'd quite like to see what actual controls are in there, seeing as they're being given a strength as well. And also, I'd quite like to see what the criteria is for a fair control, a good control, and an excellent control. What the conditions are.
Yeah, I don't know. Can somebody help? Because this is a fairly new column, isn't it? Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah, so we do have that in the background, and I can look at how we can add that detail in. We've got to do, depending on if the risk policy is adopted as the next item, we need to do a review of the corporate risk register anyway as part of that. So I can take that feedback as part of the full review.
Thank you. Anybody else, members? Any officers want to say anything before? Oh yes, who's got the hand up? I can't see.
Stuart Jennings.
Stuart Jennings, would you like to come in, please? Stuart?
Sorry, I haven't got my hand up, Chair, sorry.
Oh, I can see his hand up, is it just me? Not to worry,
No.
I think your hand is up
No.
though, Stuart.
Okay, no, sorry.
That's gone now, thank you. Yes. It's just gone. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, and thank you for the responses. Could I just make an observation that may sound critical? I hope it doesn't. But there's a guy, the late Sir John Harvey Jones, once famously said that if the rate of exchange externally exceeds the rate of exchange internally, you have a disaster on your hands. And as I've observed, Council, I think sometimes you are less brave than I would like you to be. You are doing things because that's how you've done them for some time, and the fact that other councils have problems recruiting is interesting. But when I was within the profession, we were competing regularly against the large firms, and yet we still recruited because we did it in a different way. We used some innovation to do it. We used a lot of imagination. And I mean, I know I've said this before, but I mean, the whole thing about, traditionally we have to have political balance within our committees. I mean, being brutal on it, I don't think it matters whether somebody's political views are right of Attila the Hun or left of, I don't know, Karl Marx. What I want them to know is that they have the skills to do the job that's required. And the fact that we've always done it that way, and that's what the law says, I don't care almost if we break the law and just say we've chosen not to do this. Yeah, but I think you can do it, Chair. It's like you have lots of accounting rules that say this is what you have to do. But if you don't think it's appropriate for you, you can do it differently. Just state you're doing it differently.
I think I've maybe misunderstood you there, but when we talk about officers or members, members have political views and are politically either elected if they choose to be. Officers are not allowed to be political, and that I understand that. And the part that you've raised about risk that we don't take risks, sometimes we have taken risks, and risks you have to assess properly to find. I was always taught if you're going to take a risk, you either have to mitigate, you have to look at the risk fully, comprehensively, and if you actually could afford to lose if that risk goes wrong. Yeah, because you don't always win. We're not, life's like that. You don't always win when you take a risk. So this council has, because it's never really been that well off. I mean, yes, we've got some reserves now, but if you think about how long we've been operating, we've had to work really hard to get reserves and to actually make sure that if something did happen, that we've got that we're not another council that has gone to the section, is it 114? When they've gone bankrupt. So I totally take on board what you're saying, but I would sometimes rather be that little bit risk averse, and then when we can take the leaps to go forward, then we actually do. But I take on board. Mr. Dodson, did you lean forward? Did you want to say anything? No, you didn't. Okay. Thank you for that.
Sorry, I would agree entirely on your approach on risk. All I would say is do recognise that, and I'm independent. I come from a different background, but you guys are good. You're better than you think you are. Be more confident in what you're doing and go for it. That's not saying you're perfection, because no organisation is. But if I look at successful organisations, it's a clarity of strategy. I think you've got that. Clarity of vision, mission, values. I think you've got that. It's also about a culture of celebration. I'm not sure you've got enough of that when you should have, because you merit it on what you do and how you do it. And that's what I think depresses me a bit in terms of the team response.
I thank you for that, and I welcome that actual response. And I'm very pleased the way the conversation has gone from when it actually started. Councillor Burwood, would you like to just finally sum it up? Thank you for your contribution.
A completely different point. As a DSO for my organisation, waiting any minute for an Ofsted inspection, page 162, the third orange point, bullet point, failing to safeguard children and vulnerable adults, only rated as 10, scares me. Thank you.
I think we've had safeguarding up before, have we not? I'm looking to which officer can actually, because it always used to be Mr. Gaylor, didn't it? Paul? Mr. Dodson, was it always?
No, it was Miss.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
That risk.
Gotcha.
That risk over time has come down in
Yeah,
school.
it has. It was higher.
The likelihood was higher, and then a lot of work has been done, and there was an audit as well. So that's why it's 10 now, because the likelihood's come down.
Because we used to have many meetings, didn't we? Because it was always a lot higher, and they did a lot of work behind the scenes. Because didn't we have to? Weren't we partners with another organisation that we had to work with? Wasn't it? I can't remember, I'm sure it was. Anyway, moving, I think we've given that a good hearing, members. I'm going to go to the recommendations. Little 1, that members review the corporate risk register in Appendix 1 and provide comment and feedback for consideration. We've done that, thank you very much. Little 2, that members review progress of the corporate risk mitigation actions in Appendix 2 and provide comment and feedback for consideration, thank you. Little 3, that members are assured through this review that corporate risk is being managed effectively. I think we've said some of it could be done a little bit better, but I think then any organisation could possibly do that, but comments are noted. And little 4, that members challenge risk where the committee feels that the council's corporate goals may not be achieved. And I think that we've done that very well tonight, members. So thank you very much. So I therefore propose those recommendations en masse, en bloc, seconded by Councillor Spenceley. Can I have a vote of approval by assent, members?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you very much. A good debate. Let's move on to agenda item 11, risk management policy. Obviously, the purpose of this report is to review the risk management policy. Ms Hughes, is this you again?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah, so this one's found on pages 169 to 182 of your agenda pack, and the policy is presented for committee adoption. The risk management policy sets out our framework for how we manage and mitigate risk as an organisation, and it was due for renewal by October 25 in line with best practice, so we're just a little bit ahead of schedule. The version of the policy has been simplified, also reflects best practice updates that have happened since the last version, and some new system work that we've been doing around risk management. It picks up on audit recommendations and some feedback that we've had from the independent person of this committee. So, for example, the process now sets out risk target scores and also simplified scoring criteria with recommended actions depending on the risk score that is given. If the committee adopt the policy, we also recommend a full review of the corporate risk register, including the scores, and that will take place as part of the Q1 risk review work.
Members, thank you, and thank you for the contributions that have been made. Can I just ask a question? Would we be including on the risk management policy the LGR and the Devo work, which is what we've just mentioned? Cheryl?
Yeah, so that would then still sit as a corporate risk.
Yeah.
So the policy itself sets out the types of risks we have as an organisation and what we do to manage them.
Yeah.
So then something like LGR would then sit on the corporate risk register, how that's defined in the policy.
Okay, would that be highlighted that we could see it quite clearly? I'm looking at Paul because he usually guides me on this. I should have asked him.
Sorry, in context of LGR or the
LGR and Devo, the process going forward, could we have that? Because that's a risk to the council. Would that go on here or does that go somewhere else?
it goes on the risk register, then would be looking at how we manage the policy and how we then manage the risks based on that policy.
Okay.
And then the LGR and the Devo risk itself will be subject to being treated in that way in the policy.
Okay.
And will come back on the risk register at future meetings.
Brilliant.
As it did today.
Thank you. I just wanted reassurance that we are actually going to be monitoring that. Thank you. Members, has anybody got any questions? Councillor Neil, please.
Sorry, me again.
No,
Order to head.
please,
Order
no.
to head on. It's page 176, so it's the top box with the nice red, amber, greens. I think there's just been a typo before we sign this off. So obviously, you got very low is between 1 and 3, moderate is between 4 and 6, and then high is between 9 and 12. You missed 7 and 8.
It's missing, isn't it?
So I don't know if that's going to be checkered yellow and amber, but we just need to adopt that slightly. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl, you noted that?
Thank you. Yeah,
Well done. At least you read it. Welcome to the committee. Yes, it is, and we welcome you. So, members, any more questions? No, the recommendations are that the risk management policy is adopted and provided at Appendix A. Little 2, that the committee continues to receive quarterly reports of the corporate risk register for review and challenge. Yep, agreed. And little 3, that the corporate risk register is reviewed, considering the revised policy as part of Q1 reporting. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Nick Spenceley. Members, can we agree by assent, please?
Agreed.
Thank you. Moving swiftly on to agenda item 12, the annual governance statement actions update. Hang on, bear with me. I think it's the Cheryl Hughes show again tonight, isn't it, my love? Yes, I'd let you do this and then I'll do the recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, so on pages 183 to 186 of your agenda pack for this one, the report gives an update on our annual governance statement actions as of Q4, which is March 5. It should be noted that a new annual governance statement and associated actions have since been approved by this committee. So in Q1, you'll also see additional best practice actions and updates to those that need to roll over from this list. But in this quarter, 2 additional actions have been marked as complete, which are the communication and rollout of the whistleblowing policy and the delivery of the finance peer review actions. So the report's provided for member review and challenge where necessary.
Lovely, that's good news. Thank you very much. So, members, do we have any questions before I go to the recommendation? It's pretty straightforward. Yep. Okay, members, the recommendation is that the committee reviews the annual governance statements table and updates below and challenges where necessary. No challenges because it's comprehensive, and thank you for including those whistleblowing and the finance peer group actions. I so propose the recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hughes. Members, do we agree by assent?
Agreed.
Lovely, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 13, health and safety update Q4 2024-2025. Before I go to the recommendations, I will ask Mrs. Wheatley. Mrs. Wheatley, would you like to just present a summary of the report, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. The Health and Safety Report, beginning on page 187, covers performance and compliance for Q4, which is the period from the 1st of January to the 31st of March 2025. It includes updates relating to the BDO Health and Safety Audit Report that was presented to members at PGA Committee on the 5th of December. During this reporting period, there were 6 accidents and incidents, 6 near misses and 0 hazards reported. Details for these can be found on pages 187 to 190. The reported incidents are scrutinised through the Health and Safety Managers Group, along with compliance in other areas, with monthly performance updates provided to the extended corporate leadership team. I would like to note that we don't have a centralised health and safety budget currently, and it is becoming apparent that some departments are struggling to achieve some of the improvements that are required from their own budget allocation. We are exploring options for creating a ring-fenced health and safety budget so that training and equipment is prioritised to mitigate against potential injury. Our Corporate Health and Safety Manager, Mr. Baccarini, is available this evening to take any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, noted. Members, I think it's very well reported, even to the extent of the hot spill when staff are moving members through a doorway for coffee or tea, I would imagine. Councillor Thompson, please.
Yes, thanks. It's a very clear report, but I find the flail incident potentially rather alarming. I trust the limiters on equipment are now set to prevent damage.
Did you hear that, Ms Wheatley?
Yes, if I can ask Mr Baccarini to comment on the specific incidents, he should have more information relating to those.
Mr Baccarini, welcome. Oh, he's gone off again.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm having difficulty with my camera. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, thank you.
Yes, I can confirm that the incident was investigated with regards to the tractor, and risk assessments were updated, and the procedure was shared amongst the small team of operators of that equipment. So they're all aware that every time they change that piece of equipment onto it, that sort of fitting, the limiters have to be adjusted. Yes.
Councillor Nick Spence.
Thank you. You can blame this on me attending my first responsible authorities group this morning, but I heard the police assure us that crime, apart from shoplifting in Maldon, is on the decline, and that was nice to hear. But you know, we seem to get a lot of unacceptable behaviour reports, and there's one with threatening with dogs, presence of knives on a site, aggression, abuse, etc. And I don't see references to police involvement. So there seems to be support for the staff involved, which is only right. But you know, do we have police involvement with these incidents?
Good question. Who wants that? Mr Baccarini?
I would say that we, where the manager reviews that and a decision is taken, if it's of a certain gravity, then advice, informal advice is taken from the police initially, and then if required, it becomes a more formal process. But yes, we do engage with them quite frequently.
Especially if there's a repeat offender, I would hope. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? No, let's move on. The recommendations, members, are little one, that members consider the accident and incident statistics and incidences of unacceptable behaviour reported. Little 2, that members consider progress of key health and safety themes as per section 3.2 below. I so propose, members. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Neil. Members, can we agree by assent? Agreed. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 14. Proposed community governance reviews at various parishes. Found on, I failed in my duty. I noticed every officer has said the pages it's found on, so I do apologise. Pages 197 to 204. Mr Jennings, would you like to present this report, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
This report arises from a notification earlier in the year from the Boundary Commission that work it had started on a periodic review of the Maldon district would be halted in view of pending local government reorganisation. As a result of that, this council contacted all parish and town councils to see whether there are any particular issues that they wish to be addressed, which we as a council could deal with by way of individual community governance reviews. And the requests that came back from the various parish and town councils are those that are set out in paragraph 3.3 of the report. We've looked at the individual requests, and I have engaged with the clerks of the respective town and parish councils to gain more information and in certain cases clarification. And as a result of that, as the commentary there shows, in the report, that the Wickham Bishops Parish Council request has gone away for the time being, because that is not definitive, and that is based on some historical concerns over the anomalies of where the boundaries are currently drawn. So they will be rethinking that, and it may or may not come back. The other one that has gone away for the moment is the Heybridge Basin proposal. That involves a potential boundary revision to include a run of properties at the top of Basin Road, which is quite a way separate from the defined settlement of Heybridge Basin. There is land in between, and there may be other properties to be brought into consideration as well. And I've been in touch with clerks of both Heybridge Parish Council and Heybridge Basin Parish Council, and that is a matter of ongoing discussion. And again, that will undoubtedly come back to us with a more definitive proposal agreed locally. So that leaves us with what is in the recommendations. These are definitive and clear proposals which I regard as proceedable here and now. So they are parish boundary proposals to revise Maldon and Heybridge to take account of major new development currently progressing, and to increase the membership of Little Brexford Parish Council, and to proceed with an already authorised increase in the membership of North Banbridge Parish Council. Just to acquaint the committee with the process from here on now, this gets these requests onto the starting block. And the purpose of the third recommendation is to authorise the Chief Executive to work up some detail on this so that we can arrive at terms of reference that then go out on consultation and are publicised widely, and the results of that will come back to your committee to firm up as firm recommendations, to then be further publicised, and if all is well, go forward to an effective order that puts the proposals in place.
Sorry.
That's about it. Claire.
Thank you. I thought you took a breath, so I jumped in there, didn't I?
Yep, I did it, right.
Okay, members, can I ask one question? How long do they normally take?
We will arrange for a timetable of events, as it were, to take account of these various. But it could easily take between 9 months and a year. Hopefully, it'll be within that period, but it's not a quick proposal.
Okay.
Anything between 6 months and I would say 6 to 9 months, if all goes well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Members, have you got any questions, or shall we just move to the recommendations? No, recommendations. Okay, Mr. Jennings said most of them, but I will actually just read them out to reaffirm so members of the public know exactly what we're doing. Recommendations are: little 1, that the community governance reviews be instigated in line with the requests by Maldon Town and Heybridge Parish Council for parish boundary revisions. Little 2, that the community governance review be instigated in line with the request by Little Braxted Parish Council for the increase in its membership. And little 3, that the Chief Executive be authorised to prepare for publication and consultation terms of reference for these proposals. I so moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Burwood. Agreed, members, by assent?
Agreed.
Brilliant, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 15. Not long, members. We've done very well. Big agenda. Oh, I've just seen which one it is. Agenda item 15, headline results of the action plan for the staff survey. I was being a little bit flippant. It's very important, the staff survey. And I would like to say that the staff survey is from pages 205 to 208. And this is Cheryl's final one, I think. Come on, Cheryl.
So this report gives an update of the annual staff survey, which ran from the 18th of November and 24 to the 3rd of January 25. Section 3.4 notes the key changes when comparing the results of those of 2023. And section 3.5 shows the top positive, neutral and negative responses that we received. Section 3.6 then goes on to show where we had comment clusters, so themes where several people gave similar feedback. And in February 2025, the leadership team reviewed the full results and looked at key areas of learning, and then identified an action plan for the year. So this is what's then presented at the table at section 3.7. Updates on those actions will be tracked to ensure that we deliver as well. So members are invited to review and comment on the report.
Members. Councillor Spenceley.
I don't think I raised this at the agenda meeting, but it occurs to me looking at this that we could do with this data being cut different ways by gender, level in the organisation. I'm sure that data underpins the summary we've got, but bearing in mind previous comments, it would help in unpicking areas where perhaps there might be issues, positive or negative, associated with different groups of people.
You okay? Yeah, thank you. What I will say on this, yes, Cheryl, I've seen you, but what I will say is that when it was circulated, if you clicked, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. When you click onto it, you could actually go behind to see which ADs and which areas and the way it was marked and scored. And if you actually looked at it, you could tell what time of the year the survey and what the staff had to deal with, i.e. any issues and crises and problems that the organisation encountered. And I think it was pretty straightforward. I mean, I felt sorry for the finance team because the audits and the difficulties we've been under for the past few years. And if you actually looked and drilled down to the data, some of the difficulties and challenges was obvious within the results that were given on that staff survey. And I think that was understandable because the team was asked to work a lot of hours and they pulled out all the stops for this council to actually get all the backlog of audits put through with the help of various members, ADs and directors of this organisation. So yes, so that I think that data is there. I'll go to Cheryl now because she knows more about it than I do. Cheryl.
Yeah, so the full data set does break down by assistant director area. We don't ask any other characteristics though in terms of like role level or gender because we are very we want staff to be comfortable that it is a fully anonymous survey, so we don't do anything that can identify specific individuals. So that's as far as we break it down. But yeah, the full data analysis was given back to staff as well as an internal document. So this report deals with the headline summary and the headline analysis and then the action plan of what we're doing about it.
Okay, members. Councillor Burwood, please.
Just for my own satisfaction, how many actual staff does 58% represent?
How many staff was, I can't remember how many we've got, 127? I can't remember. How many staff do we have, Cheryl, now?
I think it's about 200. I will need to look it
200?
up, the specific, yeah. I'd need to look it up, the specific number that responded.
Or was that transformation 127? Did we go down that low?
We never went that.
Oh, did we not? I'm sorry. Senior moment. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, just quickly, would it be possible to circulate what actually went back to team members? I'd be interested to see what the message was to them.
Cheryl, can Mr. Smith share the data that we had? Because I mean, I can't have any other data, obviously, but you must be able to have access to the data we had, which might be able to help.
Yeah, we can provide a copy of the staff communications that went out.
That would be brilliant, thank you.
Okay, that might then you'll be able to see what I said about the pressures under which department at that time. Any more questions, Mr. Smith? No? Members? Okay, so the recommendations are that the committee review and comment on the staff survey results and associated action plan activities listed in section 3.7 below, and little 2 that members confirm through this they are assured the staff survey response is being managed effectively. I so propose. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson, please. Members, do we agree? Well, I think we've noted that there are some concerns, and I'm sure that our leadership teams and our ADs will actually respond accordingly. So I thank you for raising the genuine concerns. And I think any staff, if you're watching this back, and if you are, you should actually be having a night off if you're not required. But if you have any concerns, please feel free to contact somebody. You have a great support network, and sometimes you do need to use it, and don't feel you're betraying anybody. So members, do we agree by assent? Agreed, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 16. You sit there so quietly for so long, Ms Cable, and I'm just worried about Ms Green. You've not spoken. Are you okay? I don't like to leave you out. Ms Cable, this is your report, if you'd like to present it. I know, members, you can sit back. We have got a presentation, which we won't forget tonight, will we? So sit back and watch what hard work has been coming from Ms Cable and a couple of other people. Thank you, Ms Cable.
Thank you, Chair. Tara, if you're okay to share the slide deck, please, and I'll just tell you when to advance. Thank you. Perfect. So if it's okay with you, Chair, I'll present 3.1 of the report first, take any questions that any members have, and then we'll finish with 3.2. So
we
next
do
slide.
have a system, don't we? We do.
We do,
yes.
and I try and stick to it. Next slide, please, Tara. Section 3.1 of the report, Appendix 1, sets out the projects completed with the Maldon District Council allocation of £1 million from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund over the 3-year period, which was 2022 to 2025. All projects were completed on time and within budget, and £669 underspend was reported to the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, which the Council was not claimed as part of its final return. So to members, this represents 99.9% of the funding we were allocated was spent within the district. Next slide, please, Tara. Thank you. Appendix 2 of this report details the grants issued to the organisations and the purpose of the funding under Maldon District's allocation for the Rural England Prosperity Fund. Next slide, please, Tara. Thank you. There was no underspend for this allocation. I can confirm the Council has successfully submitted its final return to MHCLG, who has confirmed there are no outstanding queries and the submission has been accepted. If there are any questions from members, I'll be happy to take them.
Members, any questions or any comment? Like congratulations and well done for actually getting it done. Councillor Thompson, please.
Absolutely that, Chairman. Yes, congratulations and thank you for a clear and interesting report.
Would you like to move on to the next bit?
That's the end of the slide. Thank you, Tara. Section 3.2 of this report focuses on the UK Shared and Rural England Prosperity Fund allocation for the period 2025-2026. And for the benefit of the newer members of the committee, I'll run through each point of the report. In the autumn budget 2024, the Chancellor confirmed the continuation of UK SPF for a further year, which would allow local authorities to invest in local growth in advance of funding reforms. A report was brought by officers to the Strategy and Resources Committee on the 23rd of January, which granted delegated authority to the corporate leadership team to identify projects for delivery in consultation with the leader, the Chairperson of Strategy and Resources Committee. That report also recommended that the Council 100% match fund the current year allocation being provided from the Council's reserves. This recommendation was approved by Council on the 3rd of February, meaning there is a total delivery fund of £654,292. At Council on the 3rd of April, members approved the proposed projects to be delivered detailed within the report, and an update on these projects is contained within Appendix 3. At the same meeting, an addendum paper was presented outlining Maldon District Council's Rural England Prosperity Fund allocation for 2025-2026. Due to the timescales and the late notification of the allocation, members granted delegated authority to the Chief Executive in consultation with the Leader of the Council, Chairperson of Strategy and Resources, and consultation with ward members to identify projects. Following identification and engagement with the aforementioned ward members, Appendix 3 of the report details the projects for delivery. And finally, as required by MHCLG, the Council submitted its forecast spend outputs and outcomes for 25-26, and the department confirmed there was no outstanding queries and the submission had been accepted. Officers will now continue delivery of the projects, and further progress reports shall be brought to the Performance, Governance and Audit Committee throughout the municipal year.
Thank you. Any question, members? I've got something I'd like to say. Where you've just said on 3.2.6, where I have a problem with the delegated, it's no secret. I do think too many things are Maldon-centric, shall we say. I think it's not the first time I've said that anyway. But when it says ward members, could I actually ask if that could be amended to include, say I'll use my own division, my own area. Burnham on Crouch, we have 4 district councillors. And when something goes on, I would expect all 4, whether it be north or south, of the allocation of the Burnham Ward North or Burnham Ward South, everybody gets invited. Because what you find when you've got a good team of councillors, which we do have at this council, they generally work together. And I think it is very remiss of this council to say, if something's going on in the South Ward, that the North Ward, because you can guarantee the North Ward members have much been involved as the South Ward members. So I don't know how we can amend that. I'm actually going to look for some guidance from somewhere at some point. But I think that's, you know, and look at Maldon. Maldon is a big area. A lot of activity goes on the prom. I think all Maldon members should be involved in any of those decisions, and same with Heybridge. So I don't know, sorry I threw that at you, but Tara, I might need guidance, or Cheryl on that, but I think I'd like to try and amend that at some level if we can. I think it's only fair. Do members agree with me? Yeah, thank you very much. Is that all right, Tara? Doug,
yes,
Chief
Chairman, we'll have to look into how we do that, but
Chief Exec said he would look into it for me as well. Thank you. So, members, I think rather than thank again all the hard work, has anybody got any questions before I close it? No? Okay, so the recommendations are that the committee acknowledges the closure of the UK... Oh, I've got one more. Sorry. I've got one more. Because of the way this fund is going to be operated, and this council has match funded it with their reserves, I have raised this as a concern as well. Can we make sure that the terms of reference or the governance of that pot of fund comes to committees to make sure we know how it's going to be managed? I think members need to be, if that goes to full council, members need to be able to debate that, and it shouldn't just be left to 2 or 3 key members of this authority. Is that all right, Ms Cable? Could you help with that, please?
I can absolutely confirm that the process for the Community Grant Fund, as it's labelled within this report, is actually coming to council for consideration on the 10th of July.
Lovely. And have you taken any notice of my comments?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I don't know. Thank you. I think it's quite serious, because there's no point. We need to say, to make sure it's fair to everybody. So, members, the recommendations that the committee acknowledges the closure of the UK Shared and Rural England Prosperity Funds for the allocation period 2022 to 2025 and its successes. Brilliant. Little 2, that the committee acknowledges the update provided on Maldon District's UK Shared and Rural England Prosperity Fund allocations for 25-26 and continues to monitor the delivery. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Spenceley. Members, I think we should say yes. Thank you very much. Do we agree by assent? Agreed. Well done. Councillor Siddle-Norman, would you like to speak?
Please. This evening I've been very impressed by our officers. I haven't been on this council over the years quite a lot, and I haven't heard such a good set of people speaking on behalf of their different subjects, and I am so impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you get that, Tara? Tara, I think that's worth noting that Councillor Siddle-Norman had thanked the officers for all their hard work, and she's extremely impressed with the level of the presentations and the meeting tonight, hopefully, and the members' participation. So, based on that, thank you very much for your input. Any items of business that the chairperson decides urgent, agenda item 17? I have none. So, thank you very much, members. I close this meeting at... Can't see the clock. What time is it?
20:59.
Thank you. At 20:59, members. Thank you very much for your participation.